What if I told you that the oldest company in the world is closer to seeing Jesus Christ than the internet revolution? Kongo Bumi, a Japanese construction company, was set up in 578 AD. Research suggests that 30% of family businesses last beyond the second generation. That number comes down to something between 3 and 5% that last beyond the fourth generation. I'm fifth generation, and I still feel I am basically coming from the dinosaur age. What makes a company, a family business last, be relevant across generations, across time, across decades, across centuries? What is it that makes some companies excel, some companies thrive, and some fade away? Family businesses, as opposed to other businesses, can be more challenging. You have aspects of lack of succession planning. You have aspects of not keeping up with market dynamics. You have aspects of different leadership styles across the generations. And this cuts across any family business around the world. What if I told you that every family business that has lasted across generations has a secret mantra, a secret sauce that they've used knowingly or unknowingly? It boils down to the three fundamental C's: culture, communication, and consistency. Culture, to me, is the backbone, it's the DNA of a business. It's the foundational principle that makes or breaks any business. Why is it that there are some companies that spend so much more time, effort, energy on creating the right culture? Culture, if not communicated correctly, can completely slide away an organization into existence. Culture is important because that is what holds a company together. Now, I can speak for ourselves. Me being the fifth generation, across the 5 generations, across the 5 leaders that have ran this group over the 120 years, one thing that's been consistent is the foundational values, the principles that were set by the founder. Times change, markets change, industries change, we need to change. But the consistent thing is the fact that we have held on to the same culture that holds true to us. Every leader in this family, every family member that has led in their own decade, has changed as per market dynamics, has been flexible. Some have expanded, some have contracted, some have diversified into other industries, some have held on to what the industries that they specialize in. But everything, starting from the founder till me, we hold on to certain core principles that we think are foundational and are important to our family business. And that cuts across industry, that cuts across time, that cuts across market dynamics, it cuts across everything. Now, culture for us is important because it is something that you can actually, if packaged right, can be passed on to the next generation. That's the first one with culture. Then comes to communication. Communication for me is the glue between the generations. A simple miscommunication or a simple assumption can completely change the entire meaning of the context of what we want to say. Why is it that there are so many examples that we have that just by a simple miscommunication, that conversation broke down? in today's day and age of WhatsApp, why is it that the same sentence, just when you read those 4 or 5 or 6 words, can mean something differently to when the time when I say it out loud and I mean it completely in a different context? So assumptions and communications go hand in hand. Communication for a long-lasting organization is important because everyone has different aspirations. Every generation that comes has different value systems. They have different likes. They have different strengths. What works for the company or what works for the generation before may not work for the generation after. Today we've got the Gen Zs and we've got the Gen Alphas. It's not the same when it was the millennials. If I had to go and tell my father that these are my aspirations, these are the businesses I would like to be in, at his time when he was my age, he would have had different aspirations. His family dynamics were different. My family dynamics are different. So for any multi-generational business, it's important that the family members come together, sit down and have a conversation. That is why you're seeing so many families move into family charters. It defines roles, it defines regulations, it defines how profits will be shared, it defines the smallest of details. Without communication, there's an assumption. The older generation will assume, I worked hard, I worked so many hours, I've turned out fine. The newer generation will assume, I've come from a business Ivy League school from across the world. I come back with wisdom which my fathers and forefathers don't have. Both are right and both are wrong. It's about giving context to that communication, giving space that there is innovation possible across keeping the wisdom in mind. So communication, if not done correctly, can make or break any company. But communication is not just the communication that we have with in intra-generational communication. Communication is what we also do with our external people. How do we communicate to our shareholders? How do we communicate to our customers? How do we communicate to our vendors, to our investors? What is it that we're communicating? It's the how, it's the what, and it's the why. So communication, both internally and externally, go hand in hand, and that's the second fundamental C. Which leads me to the third fundamental C, which is consistency. Anything that's done consistently builds trust. Over time, trust builds goodwill. If Apple has designed their products consistently, and they have consistently made us believe that the newer versions are better than the older version, because that's the time, effort, and money they've invested into consistently delivering the same message. Why is it that there's a trust attached to someone who's executed consistently? Why is it that any business that a Tata Group or a Birla Group or a Mafatlal Group would touch, and you would think, oh, this means a lot of trust? Why is it that we all had so much hope when the Tatas, for example, took over Air India? Because we know that they've consistently delivered, they've consistently executed, and they've lived up to what they promised. So consistency is extremely crucial because it also gives predictability. It gives predictability to the people that you employ. It gives predictability to the people you wish to employ. It gives predictability to your investors, the entire community. That we, over the months, over the years, over the decades, over the centuries, we consistently execute on what we promise, and we consistently promise what we hold close to ourselves, which comes from our culture. So the 3 C's is you've got your culture, you've got your communication, and you've got your consistency. Now, any of these 3, if not done correctly or in the right proportion can lead to a mismatch. I tend to often wonder that can it be that simple that you've got just three things which could potentially change a company that's in the 3 to 5% survival rate of getting to a fourth generation and beyond, right? It is that simple. Because at the end of the day, as humans, we need simplicity and we need something we can connect with. So I just want to leave a few questions with you. Is it possible for us to build companies that last time, that last decades, that last across generations? Is there a possibility that there are companies that actually allow us to push ourselves? Are we playing the short game? Are we playing the long game? Are we looking for longer wins? Are we looking for shorter wins? Are we looking to build a company that will last beyond our lifetime, or are we looking at short-term goals? Thank you.